Imagine living in a place so deadly, almost no fish on Earth could survive there. The water is nearly boiling, there's barely enough oxygen to breathe, food is extremely limited, and one earthquake could wipe out the entire species forever. Yet somehow, a tiny fish no bigger than your finger has survived here for thousands of years. Hidden deep inside the Nevada desert is one of the strangest creatures on Earth, the Devil's Hole pupfish, and scientists say it may be the rarest fish alive. But what makes this story truly unbelievable is how this fish survives, because when conditions get too extreme, this fish literally gets drunk to stay alive. Deep inside the Mojave Desert, near Death Valley National Park, there's a hidden water-filled cave called Devil's Hole. At first glance it doesn't seem that impressive, but this place is terrifying. The water temperature stays around 93 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. That's hotter than most swimming pools. The oxygen levels are so low, most fish would suffocate within minutes, and scientists still don't know how deep it truly goes. Divers have explored more than 400 feet down, and still never found the bottom. Below the surface, the cave transforms into a maze of underwater tunnels. Dark, silent, unknown, and somehow, this tiny fish evolved to survive here, completely isolated from the rest of the world, found nowhere else on Earth. The Devil's Hole. Pupfish looks harmless, tiny, bright blue, almost cute. Scientists named them pupfish because they behave like puppies, they chase each other around, they're curious, and when divers enter the water, the fish swim directly toward them, but behind that adorable appearance is one of the toughest animals on Earth. These fish live right at the edge of survival. And scientists discovered something unbelievable. When oxygen levels drop too low, the fish begin producing ethanol inside their bodies. Basically, they become intoxicated. This strange biological trick helps them survive conditions that would kill almost any other vertebrate animal. Think about that. A fish that survives by getting drunk, and that's only one of their survival adaptations, because life inside Devil's Hole is constantly trying to wipe them out. You'd think the biggest threat would be predators, but Devil's Hole has something much worse: earthquakes. When massive earthquakes happen around the Pacific Ring of Fire, the water inside Devil's Hole begins violently sloshing back and forth. Scientists call these waves sea cheese. And they can become devastating. Huge waves crash across the rocky shelf where algae grows. That algae is critical. It's the main food source for the pupfish. One earthquake can wipe out almost all of their food overnight. And recently, that nightmare became reality. After two powerful earthquakes, the ecosystem inside Devil's Hole collapsed. The algae disappeared, food vanished, and the fish population crashed. Scientists watched the numbers fall, from over 200 fish to barely 20 survivors. For a moment, it looked like the species might disappear forever. But scientists had a backup plan. About 1 mile away from Devil's Hole, they created a secret conservation facility, essentially a lifeboat for the species. The goal was almost impossible: recreate one of the harshest environments on Earth, inside captivity. They copied the hot temperatures, the low oxygen, even the limited food supply. Instead of removing adult fish, scientists carefully collected eggs that likely wouldn't survive in the wild, and over time, they successfully built a backup population. Then came the real test. Scientists released 43 captive-raised pupfish back into Devil's Hole, and slowly, something incredible happened. The population stabilized, new eggs appeared, baby fish started hatching again. For the first time in years, there was hope. The lifeboat worked. A lot of people ask, why save this fish at all? Why spend millions protecting a tiny creature living in a cave? But scientists say, this fish may help unlock secrets that could benefit humanity itself. The pupfish survives extreme heat, oxygen starvation, and environmental stress that would kill most vertebrates. Understanding how it survives could someday help scientists develop medical breakthroughs for humans, and there's something even bigger at stake. The Devil's Hole pupfish is like an early warning system for the planet. If this species collapses, other desert ecosystems may be next. In a way, this tiny fish tells us how fragile life really is, and how quickly an entire species can vanish. Somewhere beneath the desert, inside a boiling underground cave, a tiny blue fish is still fighting to survive, against impossible odds, against nature itself, and maybe, against extinction. If you enjoyed this video and want more incredible stories about nature, space, and the mysteries of our planet, make sure to subscribe to Life and Nature Matters, because the world is far stranger than most people realize.